Yeah, we've got 11 who's played for Steve, really. Good afternoon and welcome to Hilton Park, today's venue for this Leigh against Barrow reserve fixture. Leigh line up at 1 Craig Johnson, 2 Jamie Smith, at 3 Tony Stewart, 4 Tom Woodcock, 5 Dean Dolin, at 6 Ryan Powell, 7 Martin Keaveney, 8 Kyle Neal, 9 Liam Grundy, 10 John Hill, 11 Andy Ainscoe, 12 Dale Cunniff and 13 Dean Hatton. On the bench for the Centurions is 14 James Riches, 15 Adam Thomas, 16 Chris Hill and 17 John Cookson. Barrow emerge from the dressing rooms and they line up at 1 Brett Carter, 2 Lee Haney, at 3 Chris Larkin, 4 is Barry Pugh, 5 Darren Gaskell, 6 Scott Kagan, 7 Richard Chatfield, 8 Jamie Callan, 9 Jack Pedley, 10 Dan Cargan, 11 Matthew Story, 12 Joe McKenna and 13 James Gordon. On the bench this afternoon for Barrow at 14 Rory Marshall, 15 Matty Sale, 16 Tom Spedding and 17 is Gareth Knowles. Our referee for this afternoon's fixture, Mr J Asquith, and linesmen D Sharp and A Gill. We're just seconds away from the start of this game, and it's going to be Barrow fullback Brett Carter to get this game underway. When these sides met about 6 weeks ago, Barrow were resounding victors on the day by 32 points to 6. It was the Centurions' worst performance of the season so far, their only league defeat. And Carter gets us underway. It's a fairly lengthy restart. Underneath that is Ryan Powell, and he's fed the ball inside to Kyle Neal, who skipped away from one challenge before being met by 3 more, led by number 8 Jamie Callan. This is Smith. He picked up about 6 metres on that particular run. Liam Grundy at dummy half pushes it right. Powell puts it through the hands, and disappearing underneath the tackle is Dean Hatton. He's making his first appearance for a couple of weeks following injury. This is John Hill, recently back from a spell on loan with Rochdale Hornets. Played in the first team's victory over Featherstone Rovers last week, and the set is completed by Powell, who booted it down the field, and it bounces away from Brett Carter and goes over the touchline. So Leigh complete the first set. It was very constructive stuff from the Centurions, and Barrow will attack from inside their own 20. It's going to be highly rated youngster Scott Kagan, who actually made his first team debut for Barrow in 2004. He shipped the ball to his right. The ball comes in now. Pedley attacks Leigh directly. Picked up about 5 metres. Quick play the ball. Now it's played out to the number 13 James Gordon. Good defence from Leigh. 3 men thrown into the tackle. Almost 2 minutes into the game. Run comes in from big Dan Cargan, and he stopped just inside his own half. 3 players closed in to make the stop. Pedley ships it left to Jamie Callan, and Callan drives it inside Leigh territory. Last tackle of this set. Pedley ships it on to Kagan, and Kagan completes it. It bounces and bobbles, and it's taken in by Craig Johnson, who's playing at fullback for the first time this afternoon. And he plays the ball just inside his own 20 to Jamie Smith. This is a man who's been on form, has really helped out his teammates with that type of running so far this season. Into the arms of big Kyle Neal it goes, and Neal trundles it over the 30-metre line. He'll be after a quick play of the ball to Grundy. Grundy ships it right. Powell kept it moving. This is Dean Hatton. Hatton going upfield, made about 30 metres on that particular run. Good play from Hatton. He's inside the 40, plays it back. Now it's Powell. He drops it over his shoulder. John Hill spins, gets his pass away. Pushing up in support there was Craig Johnson, and he disappears underneath. And two-man tackle, last one of the set. Out it's with Hatton. He dabs it over the top, but it bounces fortunately enough up for Brett Carter. The Leigh defence is pretty solid. It's forced him out towards the touchline. And now Barrow to try and clear their lines. Dominant tackling there from the Centurions. Two men thrown into the stop. That's the big figure of Jamie Callan again, this time clearing his own 20. Pedley off the deck to Cargan. Good defence there from the Centurions, but he's managed to get the ball away. It's opening up out wide for Barrow. There's a 2-on-1 overlap. Dolan chasing back. Ball in one hand. It's passed back on the inside. Tony Stewart was lagging behind and managed to pick up the pass. That was good play from Chris Larkin. This is Ainscoe. Just 17 years of age. Andy Ainscoe will play the ball back on his own 40. Grundy ships it to John Hill. He'll set himself for the drive, and he's still taking those little steps forward for a couple of seconds after he was met in defence. This is Keaveney. Short delayed pass for Tony Stewart. He crosses the halfway line. Keaveney in at dummy half again. Gets it to Grundy, and then he ships it back to Johnson. Eagerly running just over the 40-metre mark. Last tackle in this set. Signalled by Mr. Asquith. And the kick comes in to complete the set from Keaveney. Taken in easily enough by Leigh Haney. Centurions concede a penalty. Referee has a quick word with Kyle Neal. And Chatfield kicks the ball into touch. It picks up about 15 metres. Barrow will look to try and launch this attack from just their own side of the halfway line. Larkin taps. Oh, and then Petley knocks on. The ball is palmed back and into the arms of Kagan, but the referee spotted there was the initial knock on, and the two teams will pack down. Just 10 metres inside the Barrow half. Five minutes of the first half gone. Precious little chances for either team as of yet. Keaveney fed the scrum, and Hatton ships it out to Powell. He then drops it back over his shoulder to Tom Woodcock. Woodcock accelerated over the 40. Quick play the ball from him. Now it's out with Dale Cunniff. Strong running forward from Cunniff. Leigh closing in on the 20. Powell onto Hatton. Hatton dummies, spins in the tackle. Tries to pick up pace again, but the number 13 just put down by sheer weight of numbers. Out it comes right. Powell skips out of one tackle. He's still going forward. He's Ryan Powell. It's a good run from the standoff, and he's going to be held about 5 metres short of the try line. Grundy at dummy half. Onto Hatton. Hatton keeps it moving. Out to Keaveney. Long ball. Ainscoe fumbled it. It's been picked up by Dean Dolan, and Dolan then takes the tackle from Dan Cargan. Two other players in attendance for Barrow. Referee raises his arm aloft. It's the last one of the set, and the ball is back now with Ryan Powell. Dinked over the top from Powell. Is anybody chasing? It's been knocked on, and then it's hit out on the volley by Scott Kagan. So Barrow concede the dropout. Got a shortage of a ball. So Brett Carter will drop out from underneath his own posts. It bounces just before the 40-metre line, taken in by Powell. He then picks up Kyle Neal. Neal breaks through 2 tackles, carries it almost as far as the 20. Play out on the right-hand side, that's Hatton. Gets the ball away. This is good ball movement from the Centurions, but the ball has been intercepted now. And that was Chris Larkin. Very important intervention then from the centre. Forward comes Leigh Haney. Definite chance that one for the Centurions, if only Craig Johnson had been able to find Leigh hands. Cargan rumbling it forward for Barrow. He's still behind his own 40. Pedley in at dummy half, takes 2 steps and hands it on. Big impact on Matthew Story, but he's allowed to run again, and this time he's dragged to the floor by Andy Ainscoe. John Hill also involved in that one. Pedley shipping the ball left. This is now with Barry Pugh. Pugh breaking up centre field, takes on the fullback. Johnson has him. Good tackle there from the fullback. Pedley pushes the ball left to Kagan. Face ball, intercepted, palmed into the hands, and Lear away on the right hand side. Is anybody going to stop him? Ryan Powell charging for the corner. And a try has been scored. Fantastic intercept try there. Referee goes back and points to the spot. It's Centurions 4, Barrow 0. 8.5 minutes gone. So it's going to be youngster Dean Dolan to try and convert. He strikes it pretty well, but it ends up going well wide in the end. And the scoreline remains 4 points to 0. So the Barrow Raiders get this game back underway again. It's again in the same sort of territory, and it's juggled by Hatton, and then the ball is spilled by Kyle Neal. Leigh never looked comfortable from taking that kick in first of all, and Barrow have an immediate opportunity to reply. Craig Johnson just wide out from this scrum, trying to keep his line. Chatfield wins a penalty for Barrow. And this time the Raiders will go for goal points. So this to halve the deficit. 11 minutes have now gone of this game. Carter has called for the kicking tee. So Carter looking to add the extras, strikes it solidly. It's now 4 points to 2. Immediate response from Barrow. So Dean Hatton back on the halfway line, drills his kick upfield, bounces and bobbles its way inside the 20, and Carter links with one of his big forwards. I think that's Jamie Callan, who pushed Barrow just over the 20 metre mark. Pedley in at dummy half, puts it right to Cargan, who just put that late step on which almost outfoxed the Leigh defence, but Andy Ainscough stuck hold. It's worked out to the right hand side again. This time Tony Stewart gets himself involved in the tackling, helping out Liam Grundy. Pedley plays it on to Callan again. He picks up the metres, he's just over the halfway line. Pedley onto Cargan. He smuggles it out of the tackle. Pedley goes again, tries to set off on a run down the left hand side. There's plenty of red shirts in attendance though, and they halt him about 27 metres from the line. It's back with Kagan to complete the set. It's a really high kick. Who's going to come for that one? Leigh allow it to bounce, and it's taken in by the fullback Johnson, who just seemed to stutter before deciding where he was going to run. This is Dolin. Stopped about 15 metres from his own line. Now he's being carried back towards his own 10. Keaveney then plays it off to Jamie Smith. He takes the initial impact from Jack Pedley, but he'll still play the ball inside his own 20. Leigh up against it so far in this set, and that was a poor pass, and that one was a little bit risky as well, out to Woodcock. Now Hatton carries Leigh almost up as far as the 40. It's the last tackle though, and the Centurions will look to kick themselves away from this position. It's a long kick from Ryan Powell, and then it just sort of curved away from the 20 metre mark. So Barrow will have the scrummage. We've been going for almost 15 minutes in this game, 4 points to 2 in favour of the Centurions, who scored the only try of the game so far. That came in the 9th minute when Ryan Powell intercepted that Scott Kagan face ball. Kagan plays it off to a supporting runner from the base of the scrum. Tony Stewart and John Hill it was with the tackle. Inside pass sees Barrow rumble forward, and it was the number 12 Joe McKenna then. Pedley plays it wide. Ball is dumped back to Pedley. Stewart is all over him like a rash. Larkin then puts it in the arms of Joe McKenna again. McKenna drove Barrow over the halfway line. This is Cargan. Leigh initially make a good impact but didn't complete the tackle, and Cargan is allowed to go another 5 metres. Inventive stuff there, but that was well taken in by Dolin. Dolin trying to counter. Had to think of self-preservation in ducking underneath the tackle, but Leigh trying to work something out on the right-hand side. This is Jamie Smith, brushes away from one. Can he outstrip the fullback? That's a powerful handoff. Jamie Smith, has he got the pace? Carter will get to him, and Jamie Smith put it back on the inside, and that's a golden opportunity. Struck off there. Tom Woodcock couldn't take the inside pass. It was a very low one. But that was excellent play down the right hand side, and Leigh just one pass short of adding a further 4 points to their tally. "16.5 minutes of this game gone. I noticed Barrow fullback Brett Carter sucking the air in after his efforts in defence there. And the run is taken from the base of the scrum by Leigh Haney, who was knocked on. But straight away as Tony Stewart put the hit in, he turned round to the referee and said, "Sir, I think this fella's made a mistake," and the referee agrees with him. So Ryan Powell to feed the scrum. Hatton onto Keaveney. Keaveney back to Powell. He couldn't quite slip the net. It was a good tackle by Brett Carter. Leigh attack straight from dummy half. This is Woodcock. He's fortunate not to concede a penalty there with the way that he ran in behind his own player. Grundy fires it into the arms of Keaveney. He then drops it back to Andy Ainscough, who wriggles free of one tackle before two more men clamp him down. Grundy onto Keaveney. Keaveney out to Dolin. Dolin tried to put the step on. He's gone airborne though. He somehow manages to keep the ball in play, and it's cleaned up by Johnson, who puts a little step on before surging forward and burying himself to go for the try line. He stopped about 10 metres out. Grundy onto Keaveney. Keaveney onto Powell. Powell puts it on the toe. Leigh are chasing forward. Can they touch down? The ball beats everybody in the end. Dale Cunniff really threw himself after that one. And Barrow will come out to the 20 where they'll look for a quick tap. Good tackling there. Initial impact from Andy Ainscough was very solid. Quick play the ball, however, and Pedley feeds it into the arms of McKenna. Barrow have certainly got some big forwards out there. This is one of them, Jamie Cowan. Shrugs away from 1 and 2. He's allowed to go again, bounces out of a third. Eventually Liam Grundy gets him second time of asking. Now it's out with a 13, James Gordon. Better tackling on that occasion by the Centurions. Barrow just inside the Leigh half. Pedley fires it across the line to Larkin. The player is picked up and dumped in the tackle. Last one of the set. Chris Larkin certainly felt the effects of that one. And Chatfield completes it with a spiralling kick out wide. It was certainly a tester for Smith, who spilled it in the first instance before regathering. Took it in on his own 20. It's played in field to Tom Woodcock, who really crashed that ball forward with a bit of pace. Jamie Smith plays it on to Powell. Powell then chipped it onto his fullback Johnson, who did well to ride that initial challenge. Grundy to his right, out to Chris Hill. Hill's just gone out there. And Hill returning to a Leigh jumper for the first time in 2 weeks following a suspension. And the set is completed by Ryan Powell. He certainly appears to be aiming for one of these 40-20s, but he was over the 40 when the kick came in. And the scrum will pat down just outside the 20. So it's still 4 points to 2. A quarter of this game now gone. Leigh adding just one try so far. This is Larkin. Disappears underneath that tackle of Craig Johnson. Quick play the ball to Pedley though. Pedley then ships it left. That's the big figure of Matthew Storey. He was thinking of dumping the ball out of the tackle then. Leigh got to grips with him. Dale Cunniff and John Cookson is out there too for the Centurions. This is Pedley again. Brushes away from that initial attempted tackle by Dale Cunniff. Leigh closed him down though. Pedley again uses the left hand side. That's Barry Pugh. Leigh keep him on his feet. They try and wrestle him over the sideline, but Pugh does well to stay within the field of play. Last tackle of this set. Ball back with Scott Kagan. Leigh try and put pressure on. And that kick will come down end on end. Taken in very well indeed by Dean Dolin, who came some 30 metres across field to take that one in. Powell then plays it on to Smith. Jamie Smith takes that initial hit, spins away, gets his pass to Chris Hill, who then feeds it on to Dean Hatton, who was certainly moving with a bit of pace there. He'll play the ball back just on his 40. Grundy on to Chris Hill. Hill then offloads in the tackle. Running up alongside him there was Powell, and Powell plays it back to Grundy. Now this is Hill again. That late footwork really challenged Barrow markers then. Leigh starting to find a bit of space. Grundy darting forward out of dummy half. Last tackle in this set. Hatton breaking upfield. Oh, lovely step. Has he got this power? Yes, he has. That's a superb try. Really powerful stuff. Last tackle play, Dean Hatton powering his way forward from 20 metres, and it's Centurions 8 points, Barrow 2 with 22.5 minutes gone. So I think it's Dean Hatton who's going to try and convert his own touchdown. Just to the right hand side of the posts. Hatton to turn his 4 into 6. The flags are raised. It's now 10 points to 2 in favour of the Centurions, and Barrow have it all to do again. So Carter this time alters the destination of that kick, and it's taken in by Keaveney, who fed it out to Chris Hill, and Hill then powers his way forward. That's great running straight from the restart. Leigh already on the front foot, playing the ball across the field. That's John Cookson who flicks it out the back. Dale Cunniff will carry the battle forward. He's stopped behind the 40 however. Grundy onto Dean Hatton. Hatton tried to destroy the line again, but this time he's well held. Grundy, options to his right, that's where the ball goes. Cunniff in the end did well to stick hold. There were certainly players flying up out of the line. And then Grundy completes the set with a bouncing, bobbling kick for Brett Carter, who goes across the face of the defensive line before being dragged to the floor by Martin Keaveney. Larkin dummies, then surges forward about 5 metres, but Leigh have held him up strong in the tackle and dragged him back. 3 players involved in the tackle. Pedley then plays it out to, I think that's Joe McKenna. He's eventually wrestled to the deck just over his own 40. Pedley again gets it out to Cargan. He'll play it just behind his own halfway line. Well, Cunniff again flew up out of the line, put the initial hit on McKenna, and Barrow have eaten up those tackles really quickly. Comfortable take as far as Dean Dolan's concerned. He puts the step on, goes over the top of Leigh Haney. It's a good job that Larkin was there to stop him. Keaveney into the house of Ainscough. He crashes it over the 40, and Leigh have the first penalty of the game. It comes 26 minutes into the piece, and it's currently 10 points to 2 in favour of the Centurions, and Keaveney will look to push the Leigh side further upfield. Picked up about 15 metres on the restart. So Stewart taps, feeds it out to Keaveney. He drops it back then for Chris Hill, and Hill tries to power his way forward. Ainscough, dummies. That's good running from Ainscough. Very brave stuff from Ainscough. Hard yards gained. Well taken in by Keaveney. Now it's with Powell. He drops it back to John Cookson. He brushes away from 1 and 2. Spins out of the tackle. Takes on the fullback, who drags him down. That was a great tackle in defence by Brett Carter. Still the danger hasn't gone. This is Hatton trying to spin his way out of 2 more tackles. Grundy onto Keaveney. Keaveney out to Chris Hill, who steps once, steps twice, tries to set himself for the line. He gets there. There was chances of a double movement, I thought, but he managed to reach out and plonk the ball over the line. It's now 14 points to 2 with 27 minutes of this game gone. Because he placed it. I don't placed it yet. Double movement. So after Leigh scored their third try of the afternoon, Dean Hatton looking to add his second goal from 2 attempts. The flags are raised. It's now 16 points to 2 in favour of the Centurions. 13 minutes of the first half remain, and Leigh already have a useful lead. Well, looking down the lineups of both teams, of the 34 players in action, 18 have seen first team jumpers this season. This is John Cookson. Hits that ball up well, does Cookson. There's 3 men surrounding him and they've still not brought him to ground. But then John didn't play the ball on request. He pushed out, and Barrow have their third penalty. It pushes them up as far as the 20, so there's a good chance that they may respond just as soon as there's a ball on the field. So tap will be taken by Barry Pugh. Kagan chips it into the arms of Dan Cargan. He's inside the 20. 3 men doing the defensive duties for Leigh. Pedley pushes it left to Kagan. Kagan floats that ball out for Pugh again. Woodcock was there in defence. Kagan again, stepping as far as the line. Leigh lift him up and then dump him back. They'll play the ball 10 metres out. It's a slow one. Pedley onto McKenna. Back with Pedley. He then puts a kick in behind the line. Keaveney was able to get hands on it, but he couldn't clear his own try line, so we're going to have a drop out from underneath the posts. It was good constructive play that from Barrow. Still the scoreline remains 16 points to 2, and I noticed that in the last minute Leigh have thrown on a substitute in the form of Adam Thomas. So Hatton, his kick clears the 30. That's Cargan, and Leigh hunted him down well in that particular tackle. Pedley plays it right. That's James Gordon. Gets as far as the 20 metre line. Quick play the ball to Pedley. Now Chatfield plays it on to Larkin. The defensive net worked well for Leigh there. 3 players involved on that particular tackle. Pedley inside the 20 onto Chatfield. He fires it across. Lovely short pass from McKenna for Dan Cargan, and he stopped about 8 metres short of the line. Still the danger not gone. Kagan fires it out. Barry Pugh was setting himself for the drive, just stopped short. Back it's with Kagan. He dabs it forward. It's played into Leigh hands, and this is Tom Woodcock. He then plays it on to Dean Hatton. Hatton trying to find that extra gear. They're really chasing him down. They look to have got him down successfully. And surely that should be a penalty. The tackle was completed and Larkin just carried on trying to pull him over the touchline. You'd think that could be a sin bin. It was a scoring opportunity, had the quick play, the ball come in, but needless to say, Leigh in possession again from the penalty. This is Chris Hill. He's proving a tower of strength out there, as you'd expect by a man who's got more than 60 first team appearances to his name. This is Thomas, just held up short. Grundy appealing for a quicker play of the ball. Back it goes to the fullback, who fires it on to Powell. Powell stepping, then attacks the line directly. Grundy plays it to the other side to Keaveney. Keaveney on for Thomas again. Keaveney skips away from two, tries to force his way over, and I think the post has saved Barrow there. Quick play the ball. Grundy has his hands knocked, and it turned out to be scrappy in the end. Dan Cargan picked up the pieces. John Cookson down in the back field as Matthew Story tries to clear his line. Good hit there again, this time on Darren Gaskell. Young winger certainly felt the effects of that tackle. This is McKenna. Leigh wrestling with him. Can they stop his forward momentum? Eventually, yes is the answer. Pedley plays it off the deck to Kagan. Kagan kicks from behind his own 40. Leigh need to chase back. It's an excellent kick. And in the end it is a 40-20. Jamie Smith got back to cover it, but just lost his footing before he could take the ball in. So with 34.5 minutes of the first half gone, Barrow trailing by 16 points to 2. They've got an opportunity to try and push for points. Just had this stoppage whilst ball awaited arriving with Scott Kagan. Now Kagan will have the opportunity to feed the scrum. Plays it off to Chatfield. Chatfield onto Carter. Carter then fires it wide, but I think his winger had to be Mr. Stretchy to get hold of that one. So that was a disappointing end. A good pass would have seen Leigh Haney really challenge the Leigh defence. Back it goes to the fullback Craig Johnson. Now this is Cunniff spinning in the tackle. He's cleared his own 20. Quick play the ball for Grundy. Now it's with Powell. Powell just ran out of options, was forced to take the ball in himself. This is Hill. Again, powering forward. 3 men surround him, but he's as far as the 40-metre line. Grundy out to his right, and Ryan Powell completes the set. Leigh chase after it, but the ball beats everybody and goes over the touchline. Leigh have broken up Barrow's play very well on the back of these completions. This must be about the 5th or 6th time that on the last tackle they found the touchline from the scrum. Kagan on for Larkin. It's a good tackle on him. Chatfield out to Haney. Good tackle low down there by Martin Keaveney. This is one of the Barrow substitutes. The number 16 Tom Spedding. Now Cargan inside the Leigh half he goes. The ball was available there just for a second, but Cargan thought better of it. Played off Chatfield to Matty Sale. That's first involvement of another substitute. Pedley back to Kagan. Kagan puts his kick in high. Just want to test out Jamie Smith, who juggles with it initially. and then sets off clearing his lines. Quick play the ball. Now it's with Johnson. Johnson then steps, tries to duck himself low. The ball comes out. Was it lost legally? Referee waves play on. He received no help from his touch judges, and Barrow are away on the left hand side, but Kagan is well held by Dale Cunniff. Quick play the ball to Pedley. Pedley plays it on to Spedding, and Chris Hill wrestles him to the deck. Pedley to his right goes to Chatfield. Chatfield onto Larkin. Larkin spots a gap. Has he got the power? Yes, he has. Oh no, he's held up. I thought Larkin had got there, but Dolin and Keevy doing just enough. So the tackle count will resume back on the 10 metre line. Pedley onto Chatfield. Chatfield onto Cargan. He's certainly run well in this first half. Pedley on the last. Fires it to Kagan. Kagan puts it through the hands. Pugh steps out of one tackle. Eventually players get to him and they've clamped him. So with a minute and a half to go till the break, Barrow concedes a turnover, and Leigh will try and launch this attack from deep and clear their lines in the form of Dale Cunniff, who initially made some good ground but then saw it eaten up by a powerful tackle. This is Cookson. Again, Barrow with the bit between the teeth in defence. James Gordon the driving force in that tackle. This is Chris Hill. Clearing run from Hill as far as his 20. Quick play the ball to Grundy as well. He's going on his own though. The support from Dean Hatton just arrived too late. Powell onto Keaveney. Keaveney then back with Thomas, who just for a second had open pasture in front of him. Last one of the set. And that was a kick lofted straight down the ground over the head of Brett Carter, who's forced to retreat. Good defence. Big tackle there from Adam Thomas. Haney comes away from dummy half. Thomas has felt full effects. The ball has gone loose, and the referee deems on this occasion it has been ripped out. Cookson couldn't believe it. He thought he'd carried two men over on within sight of the try line. As it is, Scott Kagan clears his lines, puts a very solid kick in, and Barrow will start this attack 40 metres from the Leigh line. Centurions are massed up on the halfway line. So Pugh taps onto Kagan. He drops it back for Tom Spedding, and the referee's whistle goes to bring an end to first half action here at Hilton Park. The Centurions have scored 3 tries from Ryan Powell, Dean Hatton and Chris Hill. Hatton has kicked 2 goals also. In reply, Barrow have come up with just a single penalty goal from the boot of Brett Carter. It's 16-2 at half time with all to play for. Please join us after the break. Hello and welcome back to second half coverage of this Leigh and Barrow reserve team fixture here at Hilton Park. A reminder that the half-time score, it favours the Centurions by 16 points to 2. Leigh scored 3 tries in that opening half, but could have had a couple more with a little bit surer handling and better support. And if the defence hadn't quite caught up with Dean Hatton, who's going to get us back underway. He keeps his kick fairly low, bounces and bobbles, and it proves too tricky in the end for Barrow to take in. So straight from the restart, Barrow have put themselves under pressure, and Leigh will pack down on the 20 metre line. Well, it happens so many times from restarts. Mistakes come in. This is Craig Johnson. ever an eager support runner. He drives it inside the 20, looks to play it back to Powell. Powell then feeds it on to Dale Cunniff, who just tried to wrong foot James Gordon. Two other defenders quickly moved in to close him down. Grundy, options to his left, goes to Cookson. Cookson plays it off to Powell. Powell then on to Keaveney. Keaveney fires it further wide. There's a gap appearing for Adam Thomas, who bursts through the backfield and goes over the try line. That stretched the advantage out to 20 points to 2, and what a great score that was at the start of the second half. Ball movement very quick, and Thomas unstoppable from that range. So Hatton, who once kicked 7 goals on this ground for Wigan Academy against the Centurions, looks to add his 3rd goal of the afternoon. The flag's raised, and it's now 22 points to 2 in favour of the Centurions right at the start of this second half.
Missed that one, do it again.
So it's Raiders fullback Brett Carter to come back to the halfway line. Can Barrow put themselves back in with a chance in this game? And notice that one of their substitutes, Rory Marshall, is lining up on this left wing position. Carter's having some difficulty getting the ball to stand up. Then fires his kick low. Thomas tried his hardest to keep the ball in play. Leigh seemed to have momentarily fallen asleep at the restart. As I commented, that so often happens, and Barrow will now try and come forward to see what joy they can get out of this Leigh defence, which, to tell the truth, has been pretty solid so far. This is Carter, steps out to his left. Powell and Woodcock come up with the stop. This is Marshall. Strong run there from Marshall. He's inside the 20. Chatfield behind him. He plays it off to number 16, Spedding. Spedding tries to dump the ball back, loses it once, grabs it back in. This is Kagan. He fires it across to his number 4, Pugh. Pugh for the line. Leigh have been able to hold him up. They're trying to get him over the touchline. That's great defence from the Centurions. Well, there was about 5 red shirts involved in that particular stop, and Pugh was going nowhere but over the touchline. Just over 4 minutes into the second half, 22 points to 2 in favour of the Centurions so far. Hatton tried to duck away from a couple of tackles. Keaveney plays it on to Tony Stewart. Grundy, quick play the ball, that was from Stewart. And that's Craig Johnson out on that left hand fringe. Grundy again, infield to Chris Hill, who again battles his way forward just over the 40 metre line. Grundy back with Keaveney. Keaveney completes this set. It will find the floor and bounce up in favour of Carter again, who takes on Hatton. Almost rounds him. Hatton came back for a second go. The Leigh defensive net worked well on that occasion. This is Rory Marshall again. Certainly a strong runner. Chatfield onto Spedding again. Spedding as far as his own 40. And Barrow seem to have had a bit of a change in their structure. They seem to be having Richard Chatfield operating things at dummy half with Pedley standing out. That was Pedley on that occasion passing for Gordon. That tackle was on Joe McKenna. McKenna was just over the 30-metre line. Last tackle of the set. Barry Pugh dinks it over the top. It's far too deep, that one. And Leigh will come out as far as the 20. Quick tap taken. Adam Thomas made himself available. Drove it as far as 3 Barrow defenders. This is Johnson. There was a heavy hit on Johnson by Spedding. Out it goes to Powell. He drops it over his shoulder to John Cookson. He's able to wrestle his way through to the 40. Now Chris Hill. Good strong run from Hill. Thomas was appearing on his shoulder, but the ball couldn't come out. Powell onto Keaveney. Keaveney just delayed his pass for Tony Stewart. And again, there's 3 players surrounding Stewart. They made the offloading possible. Last tackle in this set. Powell goes to the boot. It's a high kick. Oh, the 2 players contest it. They've lost the ball. And Woodcock has scooped up possession. Referee waves play on and awards the try. And Woodcock couldn't believe his luck then that both players collided and knocked on. And with 7.5 minutes of the second half, it's now 26 points to 2 in favour of the Centurions. So once again, the opportunity of goal points is on offer to Dean Hatton. And he strikes it home with ease, so it's now 28 points to 2 in favour of the Centurions. So it's a pretty hefty deficit that Barrow are faced with at the moment, 26 points in arrears. Current scoreline 28 points to 2. We've been going for 9 minutes now in the second half. Carter fires his kick low. That was that out on the full. The touch judge has signalled it, so Leigh will have a penalty on the halfway line. But you could see what Carter was aiming to do, but he did it far too hard. Ryan Powell lofts his kick into touch. That was Leigh's 3rd penalty of the game. And it will be Liam Grundy to tap. This is John Hill. He was met on the 30-metre line by a Barrow welcoming committee. Out it goes left with Thomas, one of the 2 try scorers so far in this second half. Keaveney again. Leigh lining up out wide. Now this is Kyle Neal.
Keep driving, Kyle.
The ball goes loose. Referee wave, play on. This is Keaveney. Keaveney will finish off. And Leigh were quick to the loose ball. And Martin Keaveney touches down to make it now 3 tries in 10 minutes for the Centurions. It's now 32 points to 2. So Hatton looking to continue with this 100% kicking record. This to make it 34 points to 2. He struck it well. And it is now 34 points to 2 in favour of the Centurions. It's been a Leigh whirlwind this first 10 minutes of the second half. 3 tries without reply. And all 3 of them coming on the back of Barrow errors. It's looking fairly comfortable for Leigh at the moment. So Carter again goes for the short one. He's not got his sights set. Well, being penalised a second time is almost criminal. And Leigh will again look to go on the front foot. And it's almost like deja vu because the kick has found virtually the same mark. This time Grundy will tap and find Keaveney. He then drops it back to John Hill. Hill thought of offloading, but 2 men closed in to stop that offload happening. Grundy to his left. Uses Adam Thomas. He gets it back to Grundy. He tried to forage his way forward. Thomas out to Keaveney. Keaveney out to Powell. Powell now for Kyle Neal, who bowled one player out of the way. He's up as far as the 20. Quick play the ball for Grundy. Now this is Keaveney. Switches play. Powell onto Dean Hatton. 4 players surround him. Grundy onto Powell. He takes it to the line and then kicks wide. Doling contests. Oh, it bobbles up. And Tony Stewart touches down, but Leigh caught offside. And for the first time in virtually 14 minutes, Barrow will take some meaningful possession. Chris Larkin with the tap. Pedley played it on. That was good defence from the Centurions. They closed the Barrow man down quickly. Chatfield plays it off to James Gordon. Three men get to grips with him quickly. This is Chatfield. Plays it on for McKenna. McKenna then pops it up for Barry Pugh, who then lays it off to Kagan. Kagan bursting into a hole. Johnson coming across to slow him down, and eventually Johnson wrestles him to the floor. Quick play the ball, however. Men in motion out right. Oh, but the ball is spilled by Larkin. Leigh pick it up and try and counter. So Barrow coming up with a very good line break there, but unable to convert it into further points. Leigh taking possession deep in their own half. Grundy onto Kyle Neal. Again Neal drags 3 defenders in. You feel there's got to be gaps appearing elsewhere. Keaveney drops it over his shoulder. And that was Dean Hatton again. Into centre field with Keaveney. Oh, that looked like a high tackle from Spedding. Powell to complete this set. He was behind his own 40. It's one that will really test out the defence, and it's gone over the touchline. That's a 40-20. It was a big kick from Ryan Powell. "16 minutes of this second half gone. There's a Barrow player down in back play. It looks like it's the wingman Darren Gaskell. So we'll have a short stoppage whilst he receives some attention. In fact, it's not Gaskell at all, it's Matty Sale. And going back on as a replacement is Matthew Story. So Powell links with Hatton from the scrum. Keaveney involves Powell. Oh, and charging into the hole is Tom Woodcock. It was a move worked to perfection. And Tom Woodcock touches down for his second try of the half, his second of the game, and that makes the scoreline 38-2 in favour of the Centurions. So Hatton tags on the extras once more. That's pushed the scoreline up to 40. It's now 40-2. And there looks like being no let up in this Leigh onslaught in this second half. 4 tries since the half-time break. Carter this time puts a little bit of length on his kick, taken in comfortably enough by Adam Thomas, who hit the line with a bit of pace. He plays the ball back, and this is James Riches just on from the bench. Riches is another young player full of promise for the Centurions, and talking of promise, that looked like it was building out wide. Hatton takes the tackle. Grundy on to Powell. Powell on for John Hill. He half hit a hole, but it was quickly plugged by Barrow. Grundy to Powell. This time he's outside his 40. It's another very good kick downfield. Will it just pick up pace at the end? Yes, it does. So it's back to the 20 as far as Barrow are concerned. Oh, and that was real solid hit in defence. James Riches and Adam Thomas really charged up to prevent James Gordon from making any territory, and they've only made another 2 yards on that particular run. Leigh certainly look like they've got the bit between the teeth in defence now. Chatfield, that looked forward out to Jamie Callan. Callan is allowed to continue. Chatfield plays it on for Kagan. Kagan out wide with Barry Pugh. Pugh then on for his wingman Rory Marshall. Leigh crunch him in the tackle. Barrow up as far as the halfway line. Carter in at dummy half now. That's a poor pass. It bounces and bobbles its way up and sped in, just about cleans up play for Barrow. Last tackle in this set. They're just their own side of halfway are the visitors. Kagan kicks it long, taken in comfortably enough by Craig Johnson, who's picking his spot. Just accelerated at the line. Keaveney at dummy half, plays it off to James Riches. He was crunched in the tackle, third man coming in. Grundy, now on for Kyle Neal. Good tackling there on that occasion by Barrow, three men putting their shoulder to the wheel. Powell working out to Dale Cunniff. Cunniff brushes through one tackle. He's got support inside. Cunniff back on the inside. That's a glorious try for Leigh. Jamie Smith will complete it, goes right underneath the posts, and it's further points for the Centurions. Well, Leigh certainly cutting loose in the second half. That was their fifth try, and Dean Hatton tags on his seventh goal of the afternoon. That moves the scoreline nicely on to 46 points to 2 in favour of the Centurions. And after a very solid afternoon's work, Dean Hatton is replaced. Just over an hour gone in this game. Carter puts his kick out to the right again. Leigh allow it to bounce. Keaveney then takes half a hit from James Gordon. And Leigh now get the penalty, holding down the decision. So Riches will tap, feeds it to Keaveney. Keaveney finds a runner. It's Johnson. Johnson tries to go over the fullback. Turned out to be a good tackle in the end by Carter. Leigh in very promising field position. Grundy pinches another 10 metres. Caught the markers out on that occasion. Riches on to Keaveney. Keaveney back on the inside. Just dropped it back for John Hill. Options left and right. The ball goes left. This is Cunniff. 4 men close in to stop him. Referee keeps an eye on the offsides, but it comes out to Keaveney. He plays it off to Powell. Powell takes it to the line and was hammered on that particular occasion. Neal onto Ainscough. Ainscough, strong running, brushes out of one tackle. That was the last tackle. I think Ainscough lost count. This is Kagan. Leigh ripped the ball out. It's a one-on-one tackle, but Barrow have retrieved possession in the form of Barry Pugh. This is Jamie Callan. Certainly had the wind taken out of his sails in that hit. Now Story, good low tackle, the mistake has been forced. Leigh have come up with possession again, this time it's Keaveney who picks up the pieces.
Oh, rip out, rip. And
now the ball has been ripped out, so this will be another penalty to Leigh. Current penalty count 6-5 in favour of the Centurions. Tap taken. John Hill crashes his way forward. He's stopped about 10 metres from the try line. Grundy takes it left. This is Cunniff. Couldn't get an offload away. Riches was waiting for it. Infield it comes with Craig Johnson. Johnson brushing his way through one tackle. He's so close to the try line. Grundy.
Whoa.
Can he get over? He's got plenty of support from his players, but the referee deeming that the tackle was completed. Out it goes to Keaveney. Keaveney dabs it forward. It's only as far as Jamie Callan, who tries to respond for Barrow but can only get it out as far as his own 20. This is McKenna. Spins it back to Callan. Callan takes it forward again. Eating up the metres at the moment. Kagan and McKenna again. Chatfield plays it off to Pugh. Pugh spotted a gap, flicks it back. It's been cleaned up by Chatfield. Smith is there and so too Thomas, who drives him into the floor. The ball goes loose. It's another forced error by the Centurions defence, which has been immense this second half. 13 minutes of this game remain, and it's 46 points to 2 in favour of the Centurions. There's a player down on his haunches, and it was the player that was tackled, Chatfield. Chatfield's certainly not a well man at the moment, but he's going to soldier on for the meantime. Pavel on for Johnson. He's run well from full-back this afternoon. Now Riches tries to shrug his way out of 2 tackles. Advances Leigh over the halfway line. Referee eventually calls held to slow play the ball. Grundy takes 2 steps and now it's out with John Hill. Good yards this from Hill. He's still carrying on, funneling forward. Grundy to Keaveney. Keaveney takes it to the line. That was a good tackle in defence there by opposite number Richard Chatfield. Pavel out to Ainscoe. He thought of the offload, but Tom Woodcock had already gone. Last tackle of this set. Pavel dabs it in behind the line. Grundy's chasing it, and all that Brett Carter could do was to palm the ball over the in goal line. He was faced with 3 league players bearing down on him. So it's the second dropout that Barrow have been forced to concede. Keaveney took that one in, and this is Chris Hill. Hill as far as the 20 metre line. It's played on to Cookson, who rides that initial hit, spins out of it, picks up another 5 metres. The referee calls held, and Grundy has options to his right. Powell. Barrow caught offside again. The last 3 penalties in succession have gone the way of the Centurions. Leigh will tap. This is Cunniff. It's going to be well held though, is Dale Cunniff. Grundy on to Keaveney. Keaveney into the hole. Oh, he did well there, Keaveney. Shrugged away from the attentions of James Gordon, and he's touched down to bring up the 50-point mark for Leigh. It's now 50 points to 2 with 10 minutes remaining. So Dolan will attempt his second goal. This time he's successful. So 1 goal for debutant Dean Dolan. And that's moved the scoreline on to 52 points to 2 now in favour of the Centurions. Well, it's certainly been an impressive second half show from Leigh. They've put 6 tries on the board. Carter this time gets a good kick away. Cunniff is quickly surrounded in the tackle. Keavney at dummy half, plays it off to Chris Hill. Hill forcing the players back. Grundy onto Johnson. Now it's Coxon's turn to have a go at them. Flicks the pass out. Ainscough did very well. Burst into the hole. Oh, he's just gone over the touchline. That's hard luck on the youngster. He did really well to take that pass in the first place. And then almost made something of it. So Barrow trying to launch an attack. That's Barry Pugh out on that right side. He plays the ball back to Chris Larkin, but the Leigh defence is there again. Larkin's able to make a couple of metres, but now there's a penalty that's been conceded by Leigh for lifting him up in the tackle. And there's a little bit of a face-off situation. The referee taking a report from his touch judge over on the right side. It's nothing more than a ticking off for both players. So Carter puts Barrow in promising position. It's been few and far between in this second half. Larkin taps, feeds it out to Pedley. He then finds Gareth Knowles on the charge. Pedley goes to the impressive running Jamie Callan. He's certainly made some big yards for Barrow this afternoon. Knowles out to Pedley. Pedley dummying his way through. Thomas has dragged him to the floor. There's his Story. Hits the line, but the defence hit him first. And the Centurions have conceded another penalty. Barrow wanted to get on with things quickly. And that's brave running from Jamie Callan, almost as far as the try line. Knowles darting forward. Leigh have been sucker punched from dummy half. Gareth Knowles the scorer. It pushes the scoreline on to 52 points to 6. That was Barrow's first try, and it comes with just 6 minutes remaining. Carter looking to add his second goal of the afternoon. This to make it 52 points to 8. virtually in front of the posts. The flags are raised. It is 52 points to 8. It's scant consolation for Barrow, however. So Dean Hatton has returned to the fray for the last 5 minutes of the game, and he gets us back underway. Oh, that's a superb restart. You couldn't have asked for a better one. He bisected both players completely. And almost immediately Leigh had the opportunity to respond to that try. Keaveney feeds the scrum. This is Ryan Powell, but he was well met in defence. Clattered by fullback Brett Carter. Short pass was from Andy Ainscough out to Riches, but it was deemed forward by our match official. Barrow take possession in again. One-handed pick up from Pedley. He plays it on to Matthew Story, and Leigh gets to grips with him quickly. Good defence on that occasion by Leigh. Good tackling again, this time on Tom Spedding. Gareth Knowles plays it off to Story. That was a good low tackle by James Riches. Spedding. Seems to be just those three players who wanted to carry Barrow forward in this set. Now it's with Kagan. He dabs it into space. It's one Keaveney will have to take in, and does successfully. He bursts up centre field, rides the challenge. There's certainly been a collision. He's grabbed his face, and Riches then tries to pinch a couple of metres from dummy half. That's Dean Hatton. Grundy now moves into his usual dummy half role. To his right it goes to Chris Hill. Powell keeps it moving on to Andy Ainscough. Kagan was all over him. Hatton onto Powell, who drops it on the toe and dabs it forward. It was in behind Rory Marshall, who could hear the pitter-patter of Jamie Smith after him, but the ball beating everybody and going over the touchline. So Barrow take possession again. This is their fullback Carter. Clears his own 20. Pugh then plays it into the backfield, but only as far as Matthew Story. Knowles dummying and darting his way forward. Three men surround him. Referee now calls held. Kagan pushes the ball right to Pedley. Pedley keeps his kick low. It's one that Johnson will have to come for, and he's missed it. It's then been dabbed forward, and dabbed forward again. Who can pick it up? Kagan has. Kagan then offloads, and who's there to pick up the pieces but James Riches for Leigh, and Riches now trying to counter. Rushes out to one tackle, feeds it out to his right. This is Woodcock. Woodcock takes the defensive tackle, but Leigh are 30 metres out from their own line. Riches again onto Chris Hill, who did well and then worked his way into an opening. Who's alongside him? Oh, it's knocked on by Dean Hatton. Hatton would have been underneath the posts in the meantime. Chris Larkin tries to respond for Barrow. Certainly a cavalier approach from both teams in this last couple of minutes. Barrow coming forward. He's out with wingman Rory Marshall, but he's been marshalled well by Jamie Smith. Infield it comes now. McKenna onto Spedding, who throws a huge dummy, then feeds it out to Story. Story was trying to wrestle his arm free and eventually does get the ball offloaded to Pedley. Pedley for the line. Has he got there? I think he has. He's gone underneath the posts, and Pedley has scored Barrow's second try. It puts them in double figures. It makes it 52 points to 12, and that try scored in stoppage time at the end of this game. Carter tags on the extras. It makes it 52 points to 14. The Centurions resounding victors in this one. It was a one-sided second half. Leigh led 16-2 at the interval, and second half tries from Adam Thomas, Tom Woodcock, Martin Keaveney. Woodcock scored another one with Jamie Smith following up that run from Cunniff. Then Keaveney scored his hat-trick try. And then just before the end of the game, Barrow responded with tries from Gareth Knowles and Jack Pedley, both of which converted by Brett Carter. The final score here at Hilton Park, it finished Leigh Centurions 52, Barrow 14.